Hey, welcome back to Album April. It's April 25th, and today I listened to Hounds of Love by Kate Bush. Kate Bush had a pretty big spike in popularity last year when her song Running Up That Hill was used in Stranger Things and then made a comeback on the charts. A comeback that led to it being in the top 5 almost 40 years after it was released. And Running Up That Hill is from this album, Hounds of Love, often called Kate Bush's best album. My first impression of this album was Running Up That Hill, which I've already heard before because of its buzz last year. But once I really got into it, my real first impression was, this is my kind of music. I'm not crazy about Kate Bush's singing. She's very theatrical, very dramatic, very campy at times. But when it comes to songwriting, she's incredible. Not so much with the lyricism, but with the composition. She's really good with percussion and drums and chord progressions that make everything sound big and important. And if I were to compare it to anything else, it would be what probably is my favorite band ever, at least right now, Florence and the Machine. It was actually kind of difficult picking my favorite song from this album because there were a lot of really good ones. Part of me really wants to say that my favorite song on the album is Jig of Life because that is quite an enrapturing song. It has a lot of really great moments to it, and it keeps you sucked in its world the entire time. But if I'm being honest, if I'm being real, the best made, best written, and most consistently good song from Hounds of Love is The Big Sky. It falls into that category of big, epic, almost symphonic alt-rock that I love so much. The Big Sky is among the best songs I've listened to from any album this month. However, despite all the praise I've given this album, I do think there are a few issues with it, mostly with the middle part of it. There are 4 songs right in the middle of it that are really more weird than anything else. They're not bad per se, but they definitely aren't nearly as good as any of the other songs on Hounds of Love. The weirdest of all was Waking the Witch, because it was very strange in the fact that they got a bunch of different voice samples, and at a lot of points it sounded like it was glitching. I don't know, did Kate Bush just want to convince people that she's actually a witch with mystic powers or something? It was also in this middle part of the album where Kate Bush went into the really campy territory with her singing. The middle part of this album was not nearly as enjoyable as the rest of it, but it picked back up with Jig of Life. And then it was good to the end. And when we get to the question of, does this album hold up? Yes, I absolutely think it does. If the middle part wasn't there, or if the middle part was like the rest of the album, this would be, hands down, an amazing top-tier album for me. It doesn't just have songs like The Big Sky or Jig of Life. It also has the titular track, Hounds of Love, and Running Up That Hill. We all know that's a good song by now. While not the most consistent, I do think that this is the best album I've listened to so far this month. I absolutely think it's worth a listen and would recommend it to anybody listening. Thank you for listening. I'll see you tomorrow.